A little bit of a change in scenery since I was last here. I want to take this opportunity to talk about our next video, the fourth kingdom. With Nebuchadnezzar's dream, he has an image with a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of brass, and now we have legs of iron. What do these legs of iron represent? This fourth kingdom in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. So let's open the Bible and see what it has to say. In today's study, we're going to continue to look at Daniel chapter 2 and the dream of Nebuchadnezzar and this image of different types of metals. Let's start in Daniel chapter 2, verse 31 through 34. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Now, in our previous studies, we have learned that this head of gold represented King Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom of Babylon, and his breast and his arms of silver represented Medo-Persia, and that his belly and his thighs of brass represented the kingdom of Greece with Alexander the Great. So now here we have this fourth kingdom, this kingdom that is represented by the legs of iron. So let's look into the rest of the Bible to investigate and see if we can determine what this fourth kingdom is, or who this fourth kingdom is. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 8, and we're going to be reading verses 8 through 12. We went through this in a previous study, and we're just going to kind of review a little bit of this. Verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, towards the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down, and a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Now, there's a lot of information in these verses. We're not going to look at all of it. We're just looking more towards finding out who this fourth kingdom is. Now, I don't have it in these verses. In the verses before Daniel 8:8, it talks about the ram that was great. And the he-goat came up and destroyed the ram. And here it says that the goat waxed very great. But notice that this little horn waxed exceeding great. So here we have this transition of power, with King Nebuchadnezzar and his Babylon being the kingdom of very great wealth and riches, and very renowned throughout the world. Each kingdom that comes after that, though not as glorious as his kingdom, have more and more power. First, the ram, which represents Medo-Persia, then the he-goat, which represented Greece and Alexander the Great, and now we have this little horn coming up, which waxed exceeding great. And so, when we look at verse 8 and see this he-goat, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. Alexander the Great died, and it came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of heaven. And these 4 notable ones consist of the 4 generals that eventually took over the kingdom of Greece. The first being Cassander, who had Greece in the western part of the neighboring countries, which is known as the region of Macedonia. And Lysimachus, who had Asia Minor, the northern regions, known as Thrace. Seleucus, who had Syria and Babylon, which was known as the eastern part. And Ptolemy had the southern portion of the empire, known as the region of Egypt. So these 4 generals divided up the kingdom of Greece, and they were ruling over their specific sections. And so in verse 9 of Daniel 8, it says, out of one of them came forth a little horn. So out of this kingdom of Cassander, this kingdom, the western kingdom, comes forth this little horn. And it waxed great towards the south, towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. So this represents this empire, this kingdom of Rome starting to establish itself that came out of Macedonia. So in verse 9 we see that this little horn waxed exceeding great towards the south, which was true of Rome. Egypt was made a province of the Roman Empire in BC 30. It waxed great towards the east, which was also true of Rome. Rome conquered Syria in BC 65. And the little horn waxed great towards the pleasant land, which is considered Judea. And the Romans made it a province of their empire in BC 63. So all these things point to the kingdom, this 4th kingdom of the Roman Empire. Let's continue on in Daniel chapter 7. We're going to read verses 1 through 28. If you haven't discovered this yet, you'll see that all these visions in the book of Daniel represent the same thing. The history of the world to come, and the kingdoms that will be the main powers or the main players in the world to come. And each section of Scripture, each vision, gives us more and more information. Some of it different from each other, some of it saying some of the same things. So we're going to be looking at Daniel 7. And let's start with verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great seas. Winds in Bible prophecy represent strife or tumult. And so these winds of strife strove upon the great sea, which represents nations, multitudes, and tongues, as we find in Revelation chapter 17. Verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion, who had eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head looked like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. And I beheld them because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till a beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion, and glory, and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit, in the midst of my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. And then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. They shall be given into his hand until a time, and times, and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So we can see here in verse 23 that the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth. So let's review this. We have a lion with wings coming up out of the sea. And we know that the first kingdom is the kingdom of Babylon, which is represented by the head of gold and now by this lion that comes up out of the sea. If you look at the Ishtar gate of Babylon, which was literally taken apart stone by stone and placed in a museum in Germany, you'll notice that there's all kinds of reference to lions. So this animal of the lion was associated with the kingdom of Babylon and represents the first kingdom, this first kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar. And this second beast that comes up out of the sea represents a bear with one side higher than the other and 3 ribs in his mouth. This represents Medo-Persia, with one side being higher represents one kingdom being stronger than the other. And we know that the Medes ruled first, but then gradually Persia took over and became stronger than the Medes ever were. So this is represented in this one side being higher than the other. We also have 3 ribs, so it represents the 3 kingdoms that the Medes and Persians overthrew, which is Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. This third beast is represented by a leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads. This represents the nation or the kingdom of Greece. The wings represent speed, and with great speed did Alexander the Great conquer the world. But we know that he died at a young age, and that his 4 generals split up his kingdom and ruled over different portions of it. So this leopard represents the kingdom of Greece. Then we have this dreadful, terrible beast, this 4th beast that had iron teeth. And it talks about it was diverse because it had 10 horns. And we know that these 10 horns represent the 10 kingdoms that would come out of this beast. So this iron beast represents Rome, the kingdom of an empire of Rome. But we notice that there's still, at the bottom of this image of the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, we have feet that are a mixture of clay and iron. And just as there are 10 horns on this beast that's represented by the legs of iron in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, that kingdom of Rome, so these feet have 10 toes. And we notice that the iron is mixed in with the clay, whereas the legs of iron represent that powerful kingdom of Rome. The influence of that Roman Empire is still felt in the world today, as evidenced by iron mixed in with the clay of the feet. So what do these feet represent? These mixture of iron and clay. Well, we're going to look at that in the next video. I know there was many things that I read in Daniel chapter 7 that we didn't address. We'll start looking at some of those things in the next video about the feet that are a mixture of clay and iron. May God continue to bless you as you study His Word.